Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I have my Stockwatch infographic for the month of February 2022. And I just want to say this infographic, always very popular. It has a lot of information in it, and the focus here is on how the characters have risen and fallen in value based on recent news. So I do one of these for every patch. They're not every month, they're when a new patch comes out. And we get a bunch of new information when that happens. And it really tells us, I think, how certain existing teams go up or down in value. That's what this infographic is about. It has information also. I also do my top 10 Red Star promotions in this infographic because I got so many requests for that. So we've put that in here. So let's get right to it. It says here, vision from the end game. This is obviously coming from an end game perspective. I appreciate that some of you are going to say, well, I'm still in DD2, or I don't have any shards of this character, that character. Everyone's in a different situation. The goal here is for you to use what I have here to help you make decisions for your account. The infographic is below, and I always have the current version in my Discord, but let's get right to it. So trending up, I think Weapon X is trending up. Here's the reason I say that Weapon X is trending up is we finally got another war offense team, which is the Dark Hunters team. And the devs said very clearly, because I asked them this very specifically, and they said it is worse than Weapon X. That Weapon X can beat, according to the devs, and who knows whether they're telling us the truth or not, but whether they're right. I mean, Scopely makes a lot of mistakes. But what the devs said is that Young Avengers are going to beat everything other than Weapon X. I said, well, what about Weapon X? Because they said they'll beat Infinity Watch, they'll beat Shadowland, they'll beat everything. And I'm like, well, what about Weapon X? Like, oh, well, Weapon X, that's like a legendary, blah, blah. So essentially they were hedging. It seems like they think Weapon X has a shot to one-shot the Young Avengers. And they made it very clear that the Dark Hunters would not be able to one-shot Young Avengers. So this tells me Weapon X, wow, this is a great investment. Like if you're just unlocking Omega Red now, if you didn't get him on a first pass, this is good news for you because it means that the devs intend to keep this team, Weapon X, in the top of war offense for quite some time. This is a war-focused patch, so if you're focusing on raids and you don't care about war, if you're that sort of player, this patch may be less interesting to you, but this is what it tells me right now. For people who are investing in Weapon X, it's a better investment than we thought. It's not going to get power crept as quickly as some of, let's say, a team like X-Force was. All right, now trending up, I would also say Eternals. And here's why. So we have yet another month, first of all, and they're still on the top of the arena meta. Nothing about this patch changes the Eternal space. They're nowhere. They are completely untouched at the top of the meta. In addition, the Eternals are still important on war offense. And if you put America Chavez in between them, they're even better on war defense because she speeds them up. So if you are a player who doesn't have everything and can't afford to gear war defense, and as I recommend most of you should not, unless you're super endgame, you should not be focused on war defense. My advice to you is, if you're just looking for one character to do some stuff, I think America Chavez, you throw her on war defense in between the Eternals, that's great. You can also put Squirrel Girl. You can gear up Squirrel Girl on her own. She can plug and play in some teams. But to me, the Eternals are as strong as ever. That's great news because with all the rumors of Apocalypse coming, you could imagine characters starting to get introduced that challenge the Eternals. That's not the case. In fact, all the characters in this patch are characters that really function best in a certain game mode, just like last patch. Trending down, clearly the Heroes for Hire. So, first of all, according to the devs, the Young Avengers are going to be stronger than Heroes for Hire. Now, they made it clear that the Young Avengers are going to be a two-tap team. So, Heroes for Hire are a team, like if you can't counter Heroes for Hire, you could try to attack them 10 different ways and they won't fall. So that in that sense, Young Avengers won't be stronger. But according to the devs, the Infinity Watch can beat Heroes for Hire, but they can't beat Young Avengers. The new Dark Hunter team is going to counter Heroes for Hire, according to the devs, and cannot counter Young Avengers. So to me, no longer is Heroes for Hire at the very top end of the war defense meta. So clearly, a team that is less valuable, which makes sense since they're making the team farmable, right? And then Infinity Watch is trending down as well. They aren't, according to the devs, they aren't going to be able to beat the new Young Avengers team. It's also clear that there's certain things in the Young Avengers kit that are designed to counter Infinity Watch. So, accordingly to me, Infinity Watch already, when the Eternals came out, that kind of knocked him down a peg, right? They are no longer the arena meta now. They are no longer a beat everything team in war defense as well, which is kind of how they were, for a while. They were the team you used on war offense to beat almost everything. Not the case anymore after this patch. Here's my take on the new characters. So regarding the Young Avengers, Scopely claims this team will require a 2-shot when attacked by anything other than Weapon X, but without Kate Bishop, they appear to be weak. Proceed with caution. So I will say this. I have a huge Young Avengers team. I can show you, I'll show you my team, and I have put them on, I've had some big wars recently against Legion and Mutiny, and you can see the team here. I put them with Ghost Rider instead of Miles as the 5th. And the team did well. It basically drew against Legion. It drew Shadowland as a counter. Mutiny did lose to it and had a 2-tap it. But I will say it's not like the super team that requires Weapon X without Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop really changes up the team. For one thing, she gives ability. I think right here, she gives ability energy to the team. There you go. So I think that really changes the order of their abilities and so on, really makes the team a lot better. She does other stuff as well. So I think, offense up for 2 turns. So I think she's going to transform the team. But right now, I can't assure you that Scopely is right. And Scopely makes mistakes. So, but they are good. They're just not as strong without Kate Bishop as advertised, which makes sense. They're missing a key member, sort of like Heroes for Hire without Shang-Chi, right? So we'll see. We'll see how they are, but Scopely claims they will require a 2-shot when attacked by anything other than Weapon X. And then Dark Hunters, obviously no one's used Dark Hunters yet, but based on what Scopely's saying and based on me looking at the kit and their stats, I think they're going to be great against Heroes for Hire. I just can't imagine they're not, given how the kits are designed. Like on war offense against city heroes, there's all this language in there. And Dr. Voodoo, to me, appears to be a very strong standalone character. I mean, I'm excited about Dr. Voodoo. Probably the character this patch I'm the most excited about, other than some of the reworks. So very excited about Dr. Voodoo. Then regarding the reworked characters, I really think if you are not like a whale kind of endgame player who's building war teams, I think the most exciting thing about this patch is the reworked characters. Do not sleep on that. If you are a mid-game player or a new player, Squirrel Girl can be a great addition to bio teams and raids, because remember, Miles is, in addition to being a web warrior, he is a Young Avenger. So you totally could just throw her in. If you don't have, let's say you weren't able to do well in a blitz and you don't have or you just haven't been able to gear a character, one of the web warriors, you could just toss her in the team. Now that she's reworked and has better stats, I think she's a viable 5th for raids. Okay. You could throw her in with symbiotes, maybe even. I haven't tried it yet myself. But it's just, she's such a strong character already. She was already strong before the patch. And now that she's gotten reworked, she's gotten a lot stronger. I think America Chavez giving speed bar to adjacent allies and war defense is going to help a lot of folks who don't build the full Young Avenger team. They'll just toss her between the Eternals, for example, and give speed bar to them, that sort of thing. Definitely think she has some use. And then to me, Ghost Rider, Mordo, and Elsa all have uses outside the Dark Hunter team. Whether it's in Supernaturals, Hella Naturals, you want to throw Ghost Rider in with some of the Young Avengers. There, you want to put Elsa on a team to go up against the Web Warriors or some other team that relies on dodges. I just think there's a lot of fun things you could do with the reworked characters, even if you do not, build all of the other characters this patch. And let's face it, right now Scopely is trying to stretch us thin and get us to run out of resources. I will say myself, I'm running very low on orange gear. And that's just because of the amazing amount of characters that Scopely's throwing at us between new characters and reworks. All right, so in terms of investment advice, my Red Star promo list is always here. My take is the two characters that I think are, for most players, worth taking to 7 red stars are Icarus and Kestrel. I still believe strongly in Kestrel to 7 red stars. It's one of the best investments I made. Obviously, I made it a while ago. I understand she's not quite as top of the meta as she used to be, but she helps a ton in tech. I mean, she carries you in the tech nodes. She's very important in the skill node. So I just think, particularly for people focusing on raids, that's a great investment. Icarus is, I mean, he's awesome. And when he kills somebody with the ult, he goes again. So I just think having both of them big is huge. The rest on the list you can bring to 6 red stars, but save some gold promos for Apocalypse whenever he hits and other new characters, whatever new characters are coming. Now, I will just say, obviously, don't promote characters unless you have yellow stars to match. So if you're a free-to-play player and you only have certain characters on this list at 6 yellow stars, then those should be the characters you're looking at, okay, first of all. And obviously this depends on your roster and what you're using. If you don't use some of these characters or whatever, obviously you shouldn't focus on them. It depends on you. The goal is just to give you some idea of characters to be focused on so you can make the right choices. For myself right now, I'm flush with gold promos because Scopely's been giving us so many of them lately, but some of you may not. If you haven't beaten Pocket Dimension or other things, you may not have them. So just make sure you don't blow every gold promo you have. So the characters on my top 10 list for Red Star upgrades right now are Icarus, Kestrel, Omega Red. Obviously, you have to watch out. If you do make him larger than Sabretooth, it means you need to ability block Misty instead of Shang-Chi in the fight, Weapon X fight, because otherwise Misty Knight will ability block Omega Red. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but for me personally, I'm going to wait till Kate Bishop comes out to bring my Omega Red to 7 stars. Red stars. Cersei, once again, I think Cersei in Omega Red for most players can just be at 6 red stars. Deathpool, Deathpool does have, I'm recommending 6, but I will just say she does, if she does kill a character with her passive, she won't generate ability energy. So there is a bit of a mixed bag there, but she's so strong. I think she's worth it. Silver Surfer, a lot of you are going to tell me you don't use him that much anymore, but he scales so well with red stars, and he's so impactful, and I think he's going to have a lot of longevity because he's the only character who removes charges and just does so many other things, healing himself, speeding up to be the fastest character in the game after a couple turns. I like so much about him, and I think he'll have a lot of staying power as a plug-and-play character. Captain Sam, I think, is fantastic character. Cloak and Dagger, and then Star-Lord T'Challa is new to the list. I put him ahead of Sharon Carter. I just think that he is kind of like Silver Surfer in terms of being a standalone character who has a very unique skill. So for Silver Surfer, it's removing charges. For Star-Lord T'Challa, it is removing ability energy. I think he's a neat character who you can use to counter a character like Surfer in war. He could be potentially in certain arena matchups. He's not the best character. He doesn't transform raids or anything like that, but he's an interesting character. I think will have a long shelf life because right now, at least, he's the only character in the game who steals ability energy, and that's quite powerful. Looking forward, I have not changed number 1 and number 2 from last month because I think this just remains great advice. Overall advice to players is to upgrade your roster with Doom Raid 2 and Dark Dimension 5 in mind. I mean, you really should be focused, to me, on those 2 game modes. Obviously, there's a connection there because Doom Raid 2 gets you the gear you need to get in Dark Dimension 5. But the bottom line is that's how most players should be focused. You should not just upgrade characters randomly. You should be really focused your roster and your upgrades on those 2 goals. And then number 2, avoid upgrading older characters unless necessary due to the Great Reset Power Leap, unless you're focused on war and need more teams. I still think that's the right advice. Unless a character has been reworked, I would not upgrade older characters. I would just, ignore a lot of those older teams, whether it's Guardians or Fantastic Four or whatever. I understand that there's Scopely's trying to, bait us into upgrading them, but for most players, you don't have thousands and thousands of pieces of orange gear just sitting around. and tons of gold. Like, we're all pretty limited, including myself at this point. Barely scraping together the orange gear I need. So I think you have to stay focused and upgrade the newer teams. And then 3, and this is the very specific to this patch, don't overcommit to teams this patch unless you're an endgame player with a lot of resources. This is this right on the heels of last month having like a whole new Ravagers team and a whole new Web Warriors team. Now we've got and Magic Uncanny. Now this month we've got a whole new Young Avengers team and a whole new Dark Hunters team. And they want us to upgrade characters for this Nowhere heist, which is quite a heist on the player base as far as I'm concerned. I just think there's a lot here. You're going to have to pick and choose your battles. So I would not go crazy on the teams this patch. I would, for most players, I think focusing on war offense over war defense makes sense, or just focusing on characters that you can use in other game modes. It really depends on where you're at in the game, but you need to understand where your roster's at, what your resources are, and make sure you focus on Dark Dimension 2, 3, 4, 5 first is your number one goal, because you get so many rewards out of those game modes. And then obviously Doom Raid as well. Doom Raids, of course, get you what you need to get into Dark Dimension 4 and 5. All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you have comments or questions, cheers, jeers. If you hate my list, love my list, whatever, put them below. Or go to my Discord. That is linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That is linked below as well.